Okay, good morning, friends. So, in the yesterday's class, we discussed on meaning of assurance engagement. So, what is an assurance engagement, and what are the elements of assurance engagements? All these things we discussed in yesterday's class. If you see what are the elements of assurance engagement, we have first one is three-party relationship. That means to take up an engagement, there is a requirement of three parties. One is the person who is going to do this engagement and a responsible party and the intended users. See, the person who is going to take up this engagement is the professional himself, and who is this responsible party? Responsible party. See, the person who is responsible for the maintenance of the subject matter as per the statute requirements, standards, as per policies. Obviously, this will be the management of that organization. And who are the intended users? We discussed. Suppose if your subject matter is financial information, the users are the users of the financial statements, the stakeholders. And we also said we need another element called appropriate subject matter. Appropriate subject matter. Suppose the assurance engagement is for financial information, then your subject matter is financial information. Suppose your assurance engagement is related to just the stock audit, then the appropriate subject matter will be the stock records. Next, what will be the suitable criteria? The applicable rules, laws, regulations, frameworks, internal policies, whatever it is. And sufficient, appropriate audit evidence. For this subject matter, since you are going to assure that the subject matter is true and fair, for this purpose you are required to obtain sufficient, appropriate evidence. And what do you mean by sufficiency? In yesterday's class we discussed sufficiency means the quantity and appropriateness means the quality. See, generally students will remember sufficiency means quantity, appropriateness means quality. Quantity is okay. That means volume, size. What is this quality? See, we have two another words for this quality. One is relevance, another one is reliable. Relevance and reliable. That means you should obtain sufficient, appropriate, that means relevant and reliable audit evidence for the subject matter. Sir, two another words, relevant and reliable. What is this relevant? Relevant means the connected to the so-called subject matter. When you are verifying stocks, you can't verify the evidences relating to the travel expenditure, right? So when your subject matter is stock records, then you have to think stock records only, not any other evidences. Reliable, most important thing. The evidence which the management or the responsibility are producing to you should be reliable, dependable. That's most important. Yesterday we discussed one example. Say for example, to certify an expenditure, I need the bill invoice, not the purchase order and internal emails of the organization. So that is called reliable, relevant evidences. So three parties should be there. There should be a subject matter and there should be a suitable criteria and subject matters के लिए sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. And finally, your report is the end point for your assurance engagement. And what type of report you are going to provide? A written report. This we have to understand. We also discussed audit versus review. Audit is the one which provides reasonable assurance, and review is the one which provides a limited level of assurance. Yesterday one student has asked, sir, whatever the engagements an auditor gets after my qualification, are all assurance engagements or we have other type of engagements? As I told you, most of the things after your qualification you get assurance engagements, but there are certain other engagements which are not assurance engagements. Those engagements are called related services, that we will discuss later. Those engagements are called related services. Even this review is also some sort of related service only, but there is a bit of assurance engagements involved in it. That's why we say a review is a limited assurance engagement. Okay, we'll see all that things. And we discussed about difference between historical financial information and prospective financial information. Historical information you know very well. See whatever that has happened in the past, your past transactions, past events. The financials representing the past events and transactions of organization are called historical financial information. And what is this prospective? Relating to future events and assumptions based. See, for the historical information you will have bills, vouchers, invoices. But for prospective information you will not have any bills and vouchers. You will have only assumptions and management representations. Management will say that, sir, please see this Excel sheet. We prepared next 5 years financials based on certain thoughts and assumptions. And as an auditor or as an assurance practitioner, you have to take care of whether these assumptions are believable, reliable or not. Yesterday we discussed one example. Suppose yours is a software company and it's a startup and you are in November, and in your projections for the end of this financial year you said I am going to achieve a turnover of 5 crores. You are a number, you are saying yours is a startup. Within 4 months turnover of 5 crores is possible. What assumption? On what basis you are projecting this 5 crores? Then I said, sir, I am having signed agreements with big software companies like TCS, Infosys, Wipro and all these people. And also the clauses of this agreement says that certain works I have to finish within this 31st March. If not, there are penal consequences on me, because of which I have to pay almost 50% of this contract amount. In which case I am under a strict obligation to complete these works before 31st March, for which this 5 crores is assured. So based on this assumption, I projected 5 crores turnover. Okay. What about expenditures? Because prospective information consists of income as well as expenditures, right? And what are the basis for the expenditure? Similar way, suppose if you are saying employee cost some 1 crore, then I will see how many employees are there, what is their present salary, and how about the appointment letters given to them. Suppose there are no appointment letters, there is no guarantee for this 1 crore. Suppose if I give an appointment letter, if I say that if you want to leave the employment, you have to give me 3 months notice, then I can sufficiently project that 1 crore is the salary cost, because these people are going to stay. Even if they want to leave, they have to give me 3 months notice. So for 3 months I have to pay the salary, they have to serve me. So in such a way, for prospective information, you have to use your professional brain, judgment, knowledge, common sense. Most important thing, common sense. Because for verification of this professional information, you will not get any point from the institute material or any guidance note or anything. Even if you get a guidance note or any standard, you will get only a inclusive list. That means he will give you only few guidelines. Those are not the only guidelines which you have to follow. Depending upon the industry nature, suppose if it is a software company, you have to ask other questions. Suppose if it is a hospital industry, you have to ask different question. If it is a hotel industry, you have to ask different question. If it is a plastic industry, you have to ask different question. For each and every industry, you will not get good questions or the guidelines from your standard or the guidance note from the institute. So some things you will get from the standards, few things are your professional experience and knowledge. Sir, when we will get this? Then we will get this professional knowledge and experience. Thanks to the institute, because they prescribed article sheet. Please make use of it. Put the questions to the auditor and request the auditor to assign you the works of this kind, not on the first day itself. Okay. See, suppose if people believe Puranas and all, see, a guru never taught you on the day one itself all the things. For 6 months, he will harass you like anything. He will torture you like anything. Through this, he is going to test your patience levels. Yesterday, we discussed one of these qualities of auditors are patience. So, he will test your patience. For 6 to 7 months, he will make you to sit in vouching. Vouching in the sense, He will give you the journal and he will give you the bills. You have to see that whether the bill and versus these entries are matching or not. We'll discuss all that. For 6 to 7 months you will be in this. For 6 to 7 months you will be in this and you will get fed up. And you will be having the thoughts of when I will see the balance sheet, when I will see the P&L, when I am going to sign actually. After signing, it will take time for 3 years. So this way, actually, if it is a good chartered account, a good auditor, all chartered accounts are good chartered accounts only. What I am saying is, if he is so much interested in training you, then he will give you the training in a phased manner. My boss has given me a training in a phased manner. For 6 months, I was in coaching. 6 months. After 6 months, he started giving me case studies. So his first case study was a company has started today, but before starting, incorporated on with this date, but before incorporating, they have incurred some expenditure. Before incorporating, they have incurred some expenditure for the incorporation of the company. So how to bring this expenditure into company's books? Because company has started today, you incur the expenditure before this date, and that expenditure is a cash expenditure. If it is a cash expenditure, you have to write in cash book, and you can't replicate the cash book with today's date. Whenever you pay the cash, you have to write the entry. So how to bring that cash expenditure into today's books of the company which has started today? These are called pre-incorporation expenses or pre-incorporation contracts. After incorporation of the company, you will run a board meeting. Through that resolution, you will accept all these expenses. First, he gave the case study to us, and we gave our points and all, and he conducted one session like this, and he taught how to do that. In such a way, step by step, he trained us. So in such a way, don't worry, if you go for a live articles, definitely you will get this knowledge and all. And of course, after qualification, as I told you, just because you got the qualification, the world will not bend before you. So you have to be bent before the world, and you have to learn the things. See, as I told you, it's a bit of common sense. Auditor should have high degree of common sense. If you use your common sense, definitely you will get the questions in your brain. So in such a way, based on different type of industries, when you are evaluating or when you are taking assurance engagements of any industry, based on that industry's assumptions, you have to see one point. Yesterday we discussed these points. The practitioner has to say that nothing has come to practitioner's attention to suggest that these assumptions do not provide reasonable basis. These words are important. That means indirectly this assurance engagement is making you responsible that you have to verify these assumptions thoroughly, and you have to say that when I am verifying these assumptions, nothing has come to my brain to say no, these assumptions are wrong. So nothing has come to my notice, my observation, that these assumptions are wrong. That means these assumptions are correct. So indirectly, this engagement is making you to assure to the users of the intended users, that these assumptions are correct. Accordingly, the prospective financial information are correct. Suppose the user is a banker, then you are giving assurance to the bankers, or you can go by this prospective information and provide loan to the organization. So while taking up assurance engagements relating to prospective financial information, you have to be a bit careful. Of course, there is one standards on auditing which provides you some guidelines how to do assurance engagements relating to prospective financial information. We'll come to that. Okay. So this we discussed yesterday. And also we discussed already the qualities of auditor. Now, the most important, just like the way for the accounts you have accounting standards, in a similar fashion for auditing you have auditing standards. We call them engagement and quality control standards. Let us see the classification first. Standards on auditing, standards on review engagements, standards on assurance engagements, standards on related services. First one, standards on auditing. As the name itself says, applies to audit of historical financial information. Next one are standards on review engagements, which apply in review. What important? Review, not audit. Review of historical financial information. Next classification, standards on assurance engagements, which apply in other than audits and review of historical information. Remember the words. Even though they are saying standards on assurance engagements, these standards will apply other than audits and review of historical information. So what type of standards are there? We'll come to that. Next one, standards on related services. Apart from your regular audit, you will take up certain other services also for the purpose of the client, and if you take up such type of services, these standards are applicable. So let us see how many standards are there under each type of classification. Here we have some examples of standards on auditing. So first category, standards on auditing. So under this we have SA 200. It discusses about overall objectives of the independent auditor and conduct of audit as per standards on auditing. So the first standard itself says that you have to conduct audit as per the standards on auditing, and in this standard they will prescribe two objectives that we discussed already in previous classes. You have two objectives. One is to obtain reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from misstatements, and this financial information is prepared as per the applicable financial reporting framework, and accordingly after this engagement you are going to give your report. So these are the two objectives, and this standard elaborates those objectives and also prescribes that you have to comply with the standards on auditing. Next one, SA 230, audit documentation. So we are discussing first category of standards on auditing, which is the name itself is standards on auditing. Under that we are saying what are the standards that are included in that head. So first one we saw SA 200, next one is SA 230, audit documentation. See, in previous syllabus actually the audit material used to be separate and standards on auditing used to be separate. Now the institute has merged both these things and they brought under one umbrella. Suppose the chapter audit documentation discusses the general discussion on audit documentation as well as the standard, because ultimately you have to follow this standard. Why to unnecessarily spend time on general discussion and again spending on this audit documentation? Suppose if you compare, sir, I have to comply with general guidelines or standards on auditing. Obviously standard on auditing, if anything is missing in the standards on auditing, then you have to come to general guidelines. So they said, okay, we will prescribe general guidelines as well as standards auditing in one chapter itself. So we have another chapter called audit documentation. Sleeping. See, when I saw a few people who were sleeping in the class, I remember one thing. What Dr. Abdul Kalam has said? Dream. So when the dreams will come, only few. So don't disturb the people who are sleeping. These are dreamers. Just for fun. Because I see when the people are sleeping in the class, I see their commitment. But when they are sleeping, what will be the commitment? Because they show much respect towards me by looking at this way. So some sort of respect lies here. The people say that you should show respect in your eyes. So this is where they show the respect with the eyes. They have water. That's why I also brought water. Yeah. So SA 230, audit documentation. This standard says about your working papers. sir, you are saying working papers, working paper right from class 1. What are these working papers? Can you tell me? See, your first working paper will be your engagement letter. Your first working paper will be your engagement letter. Your next working paper will be that we are going to discuss in the second chapter, audit strategy, audit plan, audit programs. When you keep on doing the audit or these assurance engagements, whatever the important evidences you see, and if you feel these evidences, I should have a copy in my file, those copies. Memorandum and articles of association if it is a company. Okay. Suppose if they say that, sir, recently we have changed our memorandum, then the altered memorandum and articles of association. Suppose if they say, sir, recently we have conducted one board meeting wherein we have taken the decision of purchasing a big medical equipment, and for that we pass the resolution, then a copy of that resolution. See, few documents are mandatorily to be in your working paper, few documents are your professional judgment. Suppose if you want to be safe, that these documents has to be in my file, so that later on if anyone questions me, so that I will be able to show that I have obtained this document, based on this document only I certified this expenditure or financial statement assertions. Then if you feel that it is important, you can put it in your file. So properly organizing your working documentation is your responsibility. So SA 230 says about that audit documentation. Next. Most important, SA 315. Lengthy title. Let's read the title. Identifying, assessing the risks of material misstatement through understanding the entity and its environment. The entire standard is in the title itself. That has to be one or two words like audit documentation. Simply. What is this? We are afraid of you. Because the Indians are so intelligent that whatever the law or section you bring, they will try to find out a loophole in it. So we don't want to take that risk. So we will try to say whatever we want, we are trying to explain the standard in the title itself, so that the title and the discussion matches. Okay, let us see the title. And what you are going to do, you are going to do two jobs here. Identifying, assessing the risk of material misstatements. See, you are going to understand that business organization. That's the second job. Understanding the entity and its environment. Suppose your audit environment is a hotel industry. Say for example, Taj Banjara or Park Hyatt. So first you should understand the entity, who is the management, and how the operations are being run, and what are the income sources for them. Suppose if you take a hotel, generally if you say hotel, you will remember only restaurant, but there will be rooms, accommodations, and also there will be restaurants, bar, play zone, travel desk. Apart from all this, there will be banquet halls for functions and all. Okay. So first you have to understand that entity and its environment. So what is this environment? For simple example, I can say internal control system. You have to understand whether proper inter-control system is there or not, whether proper control environment is there or not, whether management is respecting that inter-control system or not. This is most important. Few people establish controls, but they don't follow. So in this way, you are going to study that entity, environment. Based on these things, you are going to identify and assess the level of risk of misstatements, existence of mistakes in the insurance area, subject matter. For the time being, we will take the example that you are going to verify the financial information entirely. For example, say. So, for the financial information, you are going to identify and assess the existence of misstatements in the financial information. When you are able to assess, suppose if you understand the entity and environment, then you will be able to say whether there is possibility of mistakes or not. Suppose the inter-control system is so strong, okay, every expenditure is verified by 3 to 4 people, and all the entries are being put in this software, okay, and the software is also having 2 levels of approval. One person passes the entry, another person verifies that entry and gives his acceptance. This is called maker-checker rule. Maker and checker rule. Remember these words because these are practical words. So if you understand that environment is a good environment, management is having a very good experience, and also they are all finance brains, and there is a good intercontrol system, then what will be your level of assurance with respect to risks? Obviously a bit lower. You will see that, okay, management is good, intercontrol system is good. I don't think that there will be a possibility of misstatements. But these are all your thoughts. Okay, careful. So this is an initial thing. And this standard explains how to proceed on. So how to understand the entity, how to understand its environment, how to do this risk assessment. So this standard describes all these things. And we are having discussion on this later. SA 500, audit evidence. Right from beginning we are saying sufficient appropriate audit evidence, sufficient appropriate audit evidence. So this standard prescribes the guidelines for how to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. What do you mean by sufficiency? What do you mean by appropriateness? They will elaborate the discussion. SA 500. SA 700, forming an opinion and reporting on financial statements. So this standard prescribes audit report part. So what languages you have to use there, and what paragraphs you have to mention, and how the format has to be. All these things will be discussed in this SA 700. So these are under standards on auditing. Few standards are in your CE intermediate level, few standards are in final level. Of course, we have all these standards. Next category, we discussed standards on review engagements. There are two standards here. SRE, standards on review engagement, 2400. 2400. That means before this, there are 2339 standards. Don't worry, these are the numbers from International Standards on Auditing. You have taken those numbers. Okay. All are not applicable. So this SRA 200 says engagements to review, most important, review historical financial statements, not audit. So suppose if you are going to take up a review engagement where you are going to provide a limited level of assurance just by questioning the employees, questioning the organization, taking basic evidences, doing some ratio analysis. Based on these things, you want to say that financial information is okay, then those type of engagements are called review engagements, because you are not going to use in-depth audit procedures in review engagements. And the assurance is also limited level of assurance. Sir, okay, even though I am doing this review, I have to give a report, right? In that report, I have to say this historical information is true and fair a bit. So, in what way I am safe with respect to audit versus review? Even audit also you are making me responsible to certify that information is correct. In review also you are making me responsible to certify this information is correct. Simply you are defining that review is different, audit is different. In what way it is different? That's why when you are giving a report, the standard also says that you have to clearly mention that this is not audit. This is not audit engagement. You have asked us to do a review engagement which provides a limited level of assurance based on the procedures what we discussed and agreed. Suppose the management says that, sir, don't do elaborate audit verification and all. Just you say, for example, you take the Sunday debtors. Just you go by my book entries. Okay, you just see whether the book entries are correct or not. Don't go with the direct confirmation with the third parties and don't go deep into that verification. So the management itself is saying, don't do the audit, just you give me an overall review of that information and you provide me a pen, that's okay for me. So then themselves they are saying that, how can I say that this is an audit? So this is a limited assurance engagements, I call it as review. Anyway, since the institute has given a standard for this review on financial information, we will follow this guidelines. Whatever the standard has said, we will adhere to that and we will maintain proper documentation as per SA 230. Even for review engagements also, SA 230 is applicable, remember. Okay, so few standards are interlinked. Even your SK 315, which says about risk of misstatements, is also relevant. So, few standards are a bit interlinked. We have to understand this. Just like the way when you understand a corporate law, you will understand the interlinkage between the sections. The same way in auditing also, you have to understand the linkage between the standards. Right. Next, SRE 2410, review of interim financial information performed by an independent auditor of the entity. What is this interim financial information? 6 month financials, 3 month financials, 9 month financial information. If the management prepares and asks you to review and give your opinion, then you are going to follow the guidelines given in this standards. Okay. Next one. So these are all under standards on review engagements. So we have seen standards on auditing. We have seen standards on review engagements. Now let us see standards on assurance engagements. What are the examples? SAE 3400, which says about examination of prospective fill information. We discussed in the last topic. Sir, you are asking me to verify prospective finance information for which there is no evidence at all. There will be only assumptions. Then how I have to proceed on? Then this standard gives you the guidelines. Next one is assurance engagements to report on compilation of, most important, pro forma financial information to include it in a prospectus. What is this prospectus? Prospectus means, what is the definition of prospectus? As per company law, completed. So if you give the answer, then I will proceed now. Any general answer is okay for me because this is not examination. Sorry. Simply, when you are preparing a prospectus, earlier the prospectus has to be in 2 pages. Now the prospectus is a book now. So in that there is one paragraph where you have to give some financial information which is called pro forma financial informations. Suppose if you are given this aspect, that means this subject matter, and give your comments and review on this, then this standard provides you the guidelines. And what is this pro forma financial information? See, this financial information, how it is different from the regular financial information. See, pro forma financial information consists of your regular financial information plus, suppose after issuing the shares or whatever, suppose if you are planning to enter into any merger, that means you are going to acquire any other company, then how my financials will look. So you have to give pro forma financial information in 2 parts. One is before this merger and after this merger. Suppose there is a disinvestment, that means you want to hive off one of your companies or divisions. Suppose if I separate this segment from my company, how my financials will look. Suppose if the segment is with me, how my financials will look. So these are called pro forma financial information. Since when there is a financial information, obviously auditor will be called. Sir, since we are including these financial figures, at least you do some review of it or some verification of it. And if you say these are fine, my prospect will have much weightage. It will be respected. So this standard prescribes the guidelines for reporting on pro forma financial information, which you will include as a small paragraph in the prospectus or as an annexure to the prospectus. Next. Another category, sorry, it has not come in bold. Standards on related services. First one is SRS 4400, engagements to perform agreed upon procedures regarding, most important, financial information. Regarding financial information, the services whatever you provide apart from this audits, reviews, Any other service if you provide, that will come under this standard. So what will be the agreed upon procedures? In the last example I told you, so the management will call you and ask you, sir, please verify the Sunny data, or please do only stock audit. Please evaluate only the inter-control system, or please check my software controls. So these are the procedures which are agreed upon between the management and you. These are not statutory obligations or statutory duties. So this is not company audit also. So sometimes management, based on your professional experience and knowledge, they will give you some other services which are related to this financial information and ask you to give your opinion, comments, reviews, whatever. This standard prescribes guidelines when you take up such type of individual services from the organizations. So this standard is on agreed upon procedures. And next one is compilation engagements. See, since you are a chartered accountant, you are having very good knowledge on accounting standards, accounting principles and everything. I will ask you, sir, my books are not proper. Please sort out my accounting records. Please prepare the books of accounts, that means the journals, ledgers and up to the financial information. This is not audit. This is a compilation work. That means I will create accounts for you, create in the sense I will write the books for you, I will prepare the financial statements and I will give you the books. And for this I will give you some small opinion, kind of the opinion, not an opinion, that I will give you one letter that I have taken up this engagement. This is a compilation engagement, not an audit. Since the chartered accountant is doing this, don't take it as an audit. Few people say that, sir, you only prepared, na? You are a chartered accountant. When you are preparing, obviously you will do the audit, right? I will say no, because that fees is different, this fees is different. How can you get two services for same fees? This is a compilation arrangement. That means I will write the journals, okay? Or if you ask me to enter into software, I will bring the tally software. I will enter all the entries. I will put a few of my people. They will enter the entries. Ledgers will be prepared. I will print out. I will make the files for you for all your bills and invoices, and I will give you complete accounting record along with the financial statement. That's it. Since these are done by a chartered accountant who is doing audit for other clients also, this is not audit. In this compilation engagement, when you have completed the work, you have to write to the management that this is not audit. This is only a compilation engagement. You have to be very, very careful. There are few intelligent businessmen who will use your letters and your works as audit reports even though they are not audit. So in such a way you will be cheated. So be very, very careful. That's why you should use these standards and says that please give everything in writing. Please clearly disclaim yourself from your unnecessary responsibilities. Don't accept. Unless you say that this is not the thing, that is not the thing, you will be taken as granted that you have done it. Suppose if you say that this is not audit, then it is not audit. Suppose if you don't say it is treated as audit. In law, there is one rule. What is not prohibited by law is permitted by law. What is not prohibited by law is permitted by law. So that's why the law framers has to be very, very careful in drafting the language. So, to come back, so these are the four categories of standards on auditing. So we will discuss few standards in CA intermediate level and few standards will come in final level. Next category is, there is one more category, standards on quality control. What is this? Quality control. Suppose if you buy an electronic product, any calculator or any phone, if you turn back and see behind that one, you will have a sticker called QC passed. Have you seen that sticker? QC passed. Some stars will be there. QC passed means quality control check passed. That means before releasing this product to the market, there is one team which has checked whether this product is having the quality or not. That means whether there are any defects or not. In big manufacturing concerns, where the product has to be so precise, so accurate, there will be totally one department called quality control. Another example. In hotel industry, actually generally hotel industry is called hospitality industry. Hotel industry is called another language hospitality, not hospital. Hospitality. Hospitality means in Hindi we say Atiti Satkar. Hospitality. Okay. In this hospitality industry, apart from these hotels, there is one more division called catering business. Catering business. I think you might have heard this word in the outside world also. Catering business. Suppose if you are having any function in your house, you will call one person to arrange food. So that fellow is a caterer who is going to cater your needs of the food. And in this catering industry, there are few people who provide foods to the ships which will sail in the high oceans. So they are called marine caterers. Marine caterers. You have to understand this industry, ship industry. See, once the ship goes into the sea, it takes another 45 to 50 days to come back to the shore. And even if you come back to the shore, it will stay for only 30 to 45 minutes. Within this 30 to 45 minutes, the crew has to come down and next crew has to go, and whatever the food products that you need all the old stock has to be removed and new stock has to be loaded. And there are certain foreign ships. There are certain foreign ships in which foreigners stay and they prefer the food quality very much. If the food quality is bad, they will reject entire your consignment. You may say that if they reject, they will suffer because they will see it for 45 days. Definitely they have to eat. Okay, they will eat those 45 days. But after 45 days, your company is out from the client's customer. So you will be removed. So in those type of marine catering industries, before loading a product, the food products are being checked by a team for quality. I worked in catering industry, in the marine catering industry. At one point of time, you know cauliflower? Cauliflower. Actually, at that time when the ship has come to the shore, I told you within 30 minutes you have to load and unload. Unfortunately, the quality control people have not checked these cauliflowers. And these cauliflowers, after going to the ship, they have opened and see, and there are some stains in it, some dusty stains. They have taken a picture and sent to our company. So these are all rejected. So deduct 25% from the bill. 25% bill. Sir, cauliflower is only 5 to 500 or 300. 25% from the bill, yes. So in few industries, this quality control department is a very crucial department. In the same way, since your audit is also a service, the service should have quality. Of course, the client is paying you the fees. Don't you expect quality in your work? Apart from the client expectations, you should also maintain this quality control. What is this quality control? So this standard prescribes how to maintain quality in your audit works, assurance engagements. So quality means, see, one point is you have to comply with standards on auditing. You have to maintain proper working papers. You should maintain audit plan, audit program, team planning, timing of audit procedures, what type of audit procedures to perform, how many days it is to be performed, whether sampling technique is to be used. All these are your services. These services should be performed as per the standards on auditing, statute requirements, and certain guidance notes. And also as per your audit firm's policies. Your is not big audit firm. Suppose you belong to a big chartered accountant firm like PricewaterhouseCoopers, Four Roots, or Cognizant Solutions. Such a way, if you are a big audit firm, the audit firm will have its own quality control. They will say that since we are providing service to the big clients, we should maintain our standards. This standards and quality control explains you that auditors, practitioners to establish a system of quality control so that the firm and its personnel comply with professional standards, regulatory requirements, and reports issued are appropriate. So this standard is very much important for you to defend yourself when there is any legal cases on you with respect to your work. Then you have to show that, sir, my work is having a quality control and I followed all the guidelines of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. These are my working papers and everything. So I am not anyway guilty of professional misconduct. This is what's important. Not guilty of professional misconduct. That means I did my job properly. So this standard gives you guidelines. See, all these standards we will study once we move on to the chapters. I told you few standards are in C intermediate level and few standards are in final level. Next, if we come back to a discussion above, there are few points which we have left. 1, 2, 3. Let us study this. So people will ask us, sir, what is the purpose of these standards? See, the name itself is standard. That means a base, a good base, which will help you out to complete your assurance engagement in a smooth and proper manner. So the purpose is high quality standards, guidance in the area of the audits and other assurance engagements. Standards on audits apply in context of audit of financial statements, and they establish high quality benchmarks followed by the auditors in conducting the audit of financial statements. See, these standards will cover all the aspects of your financial statements. See, they will not say how to audit a printing and stationery, how to audit a fixed asset. They will give you general guidelines. Based on general guidelines, you have to audit that specific items. So this way, there is a good purpose for the standards on auditing. So these standards, if you follow, you can safely believe that you have maintained quality in your work and you will be safe also. So I will discuss why are standards needed. So to complete the audit against established benchmarks, improve quality, promote uniformity, equip professional accountants with professional knowledge and skill. Finally, audit quality. Finally, simply it says you can maintain quality control in your work if you follow these standards. And these standards are also a knowledge basis. The standards are also a knowledge. Suppose if you don't know how to verify a prospective financial information, don't worry. I am giving you the guidelines how to verify. Suppose if you want to take up any agreed upon procedures and you don't know how to verify those things, don't worry. I am giving you some guidelines. So that's why these are a bit of knowledge sources also for the chartered accountants and auditors. So this is the discussion why standards are needed. So this is totally about discussion of standards on auditing, and this is the completion of your first chapter. So in the first chapter we discussed various basic introductory topics like advantages, disadvantages, origin of auditing, scope, objectives and standards on auditing. What is the difference between audit and review? And we also discussed what do you mean by an engagement, what are called external audit engagements. In such a way, some introductory part we have completed in chapter 1. Okay. Yes. When we were discussing, I said few topics are important for examination. Please note those things. I think you have noted. Have you heard about the Vijayanagara Empire? Krishnadevaraya, Vijayanagara Empire. And now the That is the leftovers of this Vijayanagara kingdom are in Hindupur in Andhra Pradesh. Hindupur. And there is one big temple called Virupaksha temple. I think if you Google it, you will also get it. And I think you might have heard about Jackie Chan's movie The Myth. Jackie Chan's movie The Myth. Actually, that movie shooting has happened in the temple. Jackie Chan's movie. So you can Google it. And why I'm saying this? See, in that temple there is one pillar. One pillar, actually, which is so there is one pillar which is hanging in the air. It is not attached to any base on the land or even on the top. It is hanging in the air. If you go there, even the guides who are there, they will show you, they will take one paper and they will take out from the bottom of that pillar and also on the top. Sorry? Yeah. Even they take out, I think you are from that side, right? Yeah, he knows. Whatever. So that pillar is hanging in the air. That guides will also show you till today that it is hanging in the air. See, this was there right from Vijayanagara kingdom. The Krishnadevara has built that temples and things and all. So when the Britishers came to India, they went to this temple, and one person had said that this is some mystical one, that this pillar is hanging in the air. The British people have said, "Arey, you are a fool. Some magnetic force is there. Some magnetic force is there which is holding that pillar and all. Don't teach all these things to Britishers. We are from English." So then they started digging on the top and bottom with these iron implements whether any magnetic force is there or not. When these people are doing this, these Britishers doing this, one person who is sitting far away, who is a shepherd man, who takes care of these goats and Gai Bakri Khan. So that person is observing all these things. So after some time, that person came to these British people and asked, "Sir, what are you doing?" The British officer said, "You people are saying that this pillar is hanging in the air. I know there is a magnetic force. That's why we are digging on the top and bottom with iron implements." That shepherd man has got surprised and said, "You are a big fool. If there is a magnetic force, your iron implements would have stuck up there." I think none of you got this idea, right? When I was saying, your iron implements could have stuck up there. The British officer, "Oh, is it so?" "Yes." Then the fellow has said, "This is India." So few people say that, "Sir, British has left India because of some freedom fighters." See, there are two aspects why the British has left India. One is a threat. A threat is of two kinds. One is internal and another external. External threat is given by Gandhi, Nehru, and Subhash Chandra Bose, Bhagat Singh, and all this. There are certain internal threats which are created, which are given by these type of pillars. Then British officer has surprised. "Oh, these Indians are very dangerous people. They are hanging stone pillars in the air. I don't know when they will people make me to hang in the air." That's also possible, right? Okay, this is over. So the British officer has said, "Oh, shepherd man, you are a very intelligent person." He said, "That I know. Don't say that. Because we are basically intelligent people." Okay. "So I'm feeling hungry. Can you have anything to eat?" Then shepherd man has, "Yes, I have golgappes." Not golgappe, aloo bonda. "So I have aloo bonda." So he has given the aloo bonda to the British officer. So the British officer he give a bite to that aloo bonda, and you know aloo bonda, there will be upper layer and there will be kurma inside. That means the curry will be inside. Then he bite it and he got surprised. "Hey boss, when the outer layer is totally covered, how you inserted the curry inside it?" Outer layer is totally covered. How the curry has gone inside? He said, "That is India." Threat number 2. So this British officer got afraid. "You are hanging the pillars in the air and you are inserting the curries without opening the outer layer. I don't know what you will insert in my body without opening my skin." So all these things are running his brain. That British officer got confused and he said, "Hey, shepherd man, I'm unable to sit here. Can you take me to the river side?" Actually, there is one river called Tungabhadra. which place in that area. The shepherdman has taken that British officer to the river bank of Tungabhadra. There one dhobi is washing his clothes. The British officer has keenly observed what that person is doing. Then he asked the shepherdman, what he is doing? The shepherdman has said, sir, he is doing his work. Okay, he is doing his work. When he starts his work in the day, so he starts in the morning and he does till evening. Suppose when he gets tired, what he will do? See here, there is his wife. She will do that. And she is carrying a small baby. When he is tired, she is going to do that. Yes, sir. When he is tired, she is going to do that. Since when they are doing this? He said, right from their ancestors, they are doing this. According to shepherdman, that's a job. But according to Britishman, there's a different understanding. I will tell you later. So this British officer has taken his horse and came back to his home and he written a letter to the British government. Immediately you have to give freedom to the Indians. Immediately you have to give freedom to the Indians. Because these people are very dangerous. Because they are hanging the pillars in the air. And they are inserting the curries without opening the upper layer in one food product. And the most terrific thing I have seen, one person is trying to break a big stone with a small piece of cloth. One person is trying to break a stone with a small piece of cloth. Is it possible? And he is doing from morning to evening. When he gets tired, his wife is doing, and they are doing since their ages. So, you know that is impossible, but they are not leaving the job. You can understand how consistent they are, how determined they are. Understood? So, where you will stop this Gandhi, Nehru, Bose, when you are unable to start this fellow, where you will start these people of freedom fighters? So, these people are very dangerous. Please give freedom to India. In such a way, you got the freedom. Understand? So, there are certain hidden freedom fighters apart from Gandhi, Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose. Who are they? Krishna Devaraya, your Alu Bonda, and the Dhobi. Okay? So, this is the freedom fight. Okay. Come back to the subject. Chapter number 2. Audit strategy, audit planning and audit program. Let us understand the difference between these three first initially itself. I think we discussed about this word called strategy. Okay. Strategy is a word which is generally used in wars. Okay. And if you have seen the movie called Bahubali, I told you that there is uses a vyuham called Trishula vyuham in that Bahubali. And even if you take Mahabharata, there are so many strategies, war strategies has been used by Pandavas and Kauravas against each other. Since your audit is also going to be like a war, because you are going to enter into a big financial information zone where you have to swim, where you have to fight with various transactions and all, you should have a strategy for the work. For this purpose, first you have to understand the entity and its environment. So first step is understand entity and its environment. What type of entity? Is it a company? Is it a partnership firm? Is it a sole proprietary concern? Is it a not-for-profit organization? No sir, it's a company. Okay, it's a company. What type of industry it is into? Is it a hospital? Is it a hotel? Is it a manufacturing? Is it a service industry? Is it a security agency? That means manpower supply company. Next, you have to understand the internal control system of that organization. How the internal controls are there. What are the approval levels? What type of transactions they do? What type of income heads they have? What is the terminology, wordings they use? And what type of specific expenditure? Salaries, printing and stationery, all that office expenditures are fine, which are common for every industry. But what type of specific expenditures they will see in that particular industry? See, all these things you have to understand, and based on this you will prepare a basic plan. So that basic plan is called your strategy. Only 3 lines will be there. Okay. So organization's name, the assurance engagements information, and the brief mention of procedures what you are going to do. And audit planning is a bit elaboration of strategy. Audit program is a bit elaboration of the planning. So strategy, if you elaborate the strategy, you will have planning. If you elaborate the plan, you will have the programs. Of course, what will be there in the strategy, planning and program, we will study one by one. Okay. Now let us see a discussion called why planning and audit is necessary and its benefits. See, when we are saying benefits, obviously you can see some examination connectivity with this discussion. That means there is a possibility of getting a question, benefits of audit planning. So, question. Sir, SA 200, sorry 300. Sir, you didn't mention in our list this. So, those are examples actually. There are so many standards. Even if you say SA 700, which I said about audit report, there are certain other standards also relating to that, SA 705 and 710, which elaborates that 700 auditor. So in such a way, we have certain other standards also which you will come across when we go on discussion. So SA 300 is related to planning and audit of financial statements. So the title is planning and audit of financial statements. So here we are going to discuss the auditor's responsibility on how to plan and audit. It means this standard gives you some guidelines. Let us see. So your objective, you should not forget your audit objective as we discussed, reasonable assurance and the report. And also, unless you plan your work properly, it is not possible for you to complete it in a proper manner. It is also applicable in general life also. Even our elders say, have a plan. What's your plan? In such a way, we will get certain amount of questions. Even if you want to go to movie, you will plan it. Even if you want to go to some other place as a vacation, you will plan the journey. Even if you go to make my trip or any travel sites, they will say, what is your tour plan? So, in the same way, in your audit work also, you have to plan your work. You have to prescribe the step-by-step process of execution of your work. Step-by-step guidelines. So, for whose purpose I have to prepare these step-by-steps? First, to complete this work. Next, see, all these engagements you cannot complete alone. Of course, you are a chartered accountant, but all the works can't be completed by you alone. That means you are going to take the services of your assistants, article students, employees. Then you have to mention this planning, how they have to proceed on this work, and what this person has to do, what that person has to do, and what procedures you have to do in that particular area. How many days you have to, within how many days you have to complete this. I will prescribe all these things in my planning. Because you can't do audit for 3 to 4 years. You know, in case of listed companies, once the 31st March is over, by April 7th, you have to give your audited balance sheet. In case of Reliance Industries and big companies, you have to give your audited financial statements within 7 days of the completion of 31st March date. So within 7 days, 1 year data auditing is possible? No, I think you might have planned this before itself. That means you already started the audit and you left only few areas to verify within these 7 days. Of course, in case of listed entities, the 7 days itself will take for preparing the audit report itself. Okay, for compiling all the papers. Suppose if you take for a bank, there will be so many branches. You know, the bank, all the banks audit has to be completed by April 30th. All the branches. Suppose if you take State Bank of India, India-wide, how many branches? Almost 10,000 branches are there. So 10,000 branches within a month, how it is possible? That's why they are giving you the bank audits. For every 3 branches, one chartered account will be sent, he has to complete within the 30 days itself. There will be so many transactions. Of course, you will use your audit procedures. Within these 30 days, if you want to complete 3 branches audit and which are having a turnover of around 300 crores, 500 crores, so unless you plan your work properly, it is not possible to complete. So planning and audit is one of your objectives. Sir, in SA 200 you said only 2 objectives. Reasonable assurance on the financial statements and report. See, this is related to your report. Ultimately, you have to give your report on the subject matter. So for this purpose, you have to plan your work. So in this planning and audit is necessary to carry out effectively in a timely manner. These words are important. Effectively and timely manner. At the same time, by ensuring compliance with professional standards. So planning is necessary to carry out your audit within the time. Effectively means achieving the objectives. That's see, even though the objectives are just 2 lines, there is a lot of subject in it. It is saying reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from misstatements. Even though there are 4 words, free from misstatements, to verify, to come to a conclusion there are no misstatements, it's a lot of work. So effectively, timely manner, at the same time ensuring compliance with your professional standards. What do you mean by professional standards? Your standards writing itself. Next, adequate planning benefits the audit of financial statements in several ways, including the following. So when this discussion is saying benefits, obviously all these points are your benefits of planning. Examination question. How the question can come in examination? This way. Do you think that audit planning is beneficial? Do you think that audit planning is beneficial? That's it. Since the fellow has said, do you think, you put the pen and think for 3 hours. So simply what is saying? Just you have to write the benefits of the advantages of the audit planning. So that's why I told you in the beginning classes that at CA inter level, direct questions, direct answers. Indirect questions, direct answers only, don't worry. But you have to identify what is the question is asking for. Okay, so you have to produce appropriate answer. Suppose if he says discuss the benefits of the planning and audit, doesn't mean that you have to put the pen and discuss with your friend. So let us see the benefits. What's important? Devote appropriate attention to important areas of audit. Once you plan your audit, you will say that team, suppose if you are my team and I am the auditor, I will tell you in this way. Team, I have already evaluated the inter-control system of that organization in the last year itself. In the last year, suppose if the audit is a continuing engagement, even you are the auditor in the last financial year also. So now you will speak to your team in this way. Team, based on my experience in the last financial year, the inter-control system with respect to sundry data is a bit weak, or the inter-control system with respect to office expenditure is a bit weak in that organization. So please concentrate on that area carefully. Please verify almost all the transactions. Please do 100% audit in that one. Or please verify all the expenditures which are above 1000 rupees. Below 1000 rupees, you can do sampling. In such a way, based on my experience, based on my study, I can prescribe the important areas which either I myself or my team has to concentrate. So help the auditor to devote appropriate attention to important areas of audit. Another example. My company which I am auditing has not started its operations. There is no turnover. Even the expenditure is also very much limited. The company is in construction stage. So what will be the important area for me in this audit? The capital expenditure. Because there is no revenue expenditure. Revenue expenditure is almost 10 to 15,000 because the owner is not coming over there. 1 or 2 employees are sitting over there and they are doing some observation over there, and their salaries and their coffee tea expenses, which will be almost 50,000 to 60,000. But my factory is of 200 crores. The fixed assets which I am erecting over there, which I am constructing over there, are around 200 to 300 crores. So my important area of audit is not 50,000 rupees, but that 200 to 300 crores. This is planning. Suppose if you say to your team, the tea expenses are very, very important. Huh? Okay, forget about the 200, 300 crores. Tea expenses are much important. They shouldn't be wastage because I like tea very much. So this should not be the way. So this planning you have to clearly draft and explain to your audit team. As I told you, you alone cannot complete all the audit engagement because you are not like a Ravana with 20 hands. Okay, please remember this. Next point. So what is the advantage? You can devote your attention, concentration on important areas where the inter-control system is weak, where there is a possibility of existence of misstatements. Next, identify, resolve quotation problems on a timely manner. See, when you say particular area is intercontrol system is weak, okay, then you will bring to the notice of the management, sir, the area which I am going to verify, I have observed that intercontrol system is weak. Okay, so I need your support. I will bring to the your notice all the errors and frauds which I bring to your notice. You have to take appropriately rectification or actions on it, so that the audit is completed within the time. Suppose if you ask me to complete all the audit and give the report later on, if I give a big list of corrections and rectifications, which will take much time and your balance sheet will not be ready. So if you plan your audit, you can complete all these things in a timely manner before the due date, before the expected time by the management. So that is one benefit. Next, so resolve potential problems in timely manner. You can properly organize, manage your audit engagement. This is general benefit. Any planning will have this advantage. Most important, assisting selection of engagement team members with appropriate level of capabilities, competence, and proper assignment of work. See, suppose you are my team. Based on your experience, so what a team member will have experience? See, team doesn't mean only article students. Suppose mine is a big audit firm, I will have chartered accountants also as my employees. Chartered accountants also as one of my firm's team members. Along with these things, article students will also be there. So 3 article students, 2 semi-qualified employees, 1 qualified employee. These are my team. Based on these teams' capabilities, qualifications, experience, I am going to divide the work in between these people. For article students who has done just before a week before, so can I give balance sheet verification directly? No. I have to give him some coaching part, some small jobs for him. Because ultimately I am the responsible person for my report. Because I am going to sign that audit report. Suppose if you don't do your job properly, my certificate will be at risk. So if you plan your work, so team management and assigning the works to the team as per their knowledge and experience is also one of the points in audit planning. So this is one advantage. That means you plan your audit, you can divide the work between the teams properly. Obviously it will lead to completion of the work in the time. Next, direction, supervision of engagement team members, reviewing their work. See, a properly planned audit will have intermediary evaluations. Sorry. These are the disadvantages of the theory subjects. Suppose if we speak for some time, obviously you will use your thought a bit. No problem. So, facilitating, direction, supervision of engagement team members and review of their work. See, when the work goes on, when your auditing is in progress, at some point of time, either 15 days once or monthly once or weekly once, depending upon the period of your audit, you have to conduct meetings between the teams. And you should understand what they have done, what is the work assigned to them, to what extent they have completed, and what are their observations in that particular period. So within 7 days, suppose I have given you expenditure part, they will ask you what are your observations in the expenditure part. Then you will open your audit notebook and you will say that, sir, I have verified printing and stationery and also salaries, and also I have verified certain other revenue expenditure like travel expenses, advertisement costs, marketing expenses, and in these expenses I have observed gross observation and specific observations. What are your gross observations? My gross observations are approval levels are not properly being followed. Marketing representative is submitting the travel claim directly to the accounts department, and accounts department is making the payment even though marketing and manager has not approved it. And marketing people are not following the travel policy. Travel policy says that marketing people, suppose if they travel to Hyderabad, they are eligible only for 2,000 rupees for hotel room accommodation per day. But they have kept bills for 3,000 rupees also, and accounts department has passed those bills. And in case of some travel expenses, there are no evidences at all. There are no bills at all. Here I will tell you one small example. Suppose you travel by a train and you want to claim this expenses as a marketing person with the company. Okay. So you have kept your travel claim. For this travel claim, what is the supporting document you will attach? Suppose if you travel by a train, what is the supporting document you will attach to this travel claim? Suppose you traveled by a train. Sorry? Ticket. Suppose it is a travel between Hyderabad and Warangal, you purchased a normal ticket. Okay? Not online ticket. Normal ticket you have purchased. I think this ticket will be collected by the TC at the entrance. So first you put the supporting. Right? The TC collects your ticket, right? Then he leaves you out. So how can I put my ticket as a supporting this travel claim? This marketing person says, sir, the TC has taken the ticket. How can you expect me to put the ticket as a supporting? And without ticket, you are saying that your travel expense is not passed. So how can I put? Where you will get the Xerox in the train, copy. See, remember these things. This is the common sense. Suppose if you are a company traveler and you want your ticket back, then you have to say to the TC, sir, I am having a travel claim in my company. I want this ticket back. Then the TC signs on the ticket as a verification and he gives back the ticket to you. This is practical. Understood? Of course, nowadays everybody is purchasing the tickets online. That's when you will have an online copy of it. But I'm talking about certain areas. See, India is not so developed that you will get online tickets everywhere. There are certain states like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, where your travel ticket happens by hard copy tickets. Of course, those people are also having business potential. Suppose if you start a power plant in Jharkhand state, definitely as an employee you have to travel. Traveling, if it is a train, you should possess the ticket. So in such case, you can say to the TC that, sir, please give me a signed one because I have to claim back. So this is possible. So this you can observe and give a report to your senior. So these are the things which I have observed. Okay. Team person number 2. So what did you audit? Say verified capital expenditure. What are your observations? Sir, as per the company's policy, every capital expenditure should have approval of the board, but there is no board approval for capital expenditures. Okay. So in such a way, in between this audit work, when it is progressing, I will conduct meetings. So I will see how my work is directing towards my objectives. Ultimately, my objective is obtaining reasonable. Am I traveling towards my destination or not? That you have to check in between. This is planning. It is not that simply you sleep at home. After completion of the audit, people will come to you and report. You will know all the mistakes and things after 6 months. Management will come and ask you, sir, balance sheet can I prepare within 10 days? Then you say, sir, 6 months audit, now only I got observation, first I have to study. This will take another 1 month. Management says, sir, what are you doing for the past 6 months? Why did not you sit with your team in between these 6 months and understand the observation has not communicated to us? We could have corrected all those things. We could have provided our explanation to you, to your satisfaction. If anything board resolution is missing, definitely we could have sent the approval to all the board of directors for approval. So this is planning. Okay. So this is part of the planning exercise. So direction, supervision of the team members. Next, assisting where applicable, coordination of work done by others such as experts. Most important thing. Suppose in your audit there is a necessity of using the work of an expert, that you have to plan in advance. I am using a word called plan in advance. When the management is asking to sign the balance sheet, at that point you cannot say bring the expert in. I want his opinion, then only I will sign. Otherwise I will go. They will say, sir, you could have told me this, because ours is a specific industry, and for this industry to certify a particular area by an expert, the experts always stays in Australia. If I have to bring that expert here, it will take time. I have to enter into a work order with that fellow. The fees has to be agreed, terms has to be agreed, he has to come, verify, then give his report. That almost takes 1.5 months. Now you are saying this. When the figure which you have to certify is ready by 31st March, after doing 3 months, and when you are about to sign the balance sheet, now you are saying expert opinion. So this is important. And also what you are saying, I don't go by expert opinion. I will take the expert opinion, but I will evaluate again that opinion. That will take some more days. You have to see that expert. You have to understand all his technical knowledge. Again, you have to convert the technical knowledge into your finance knowledge. Then only you are able to sign the balance sheet. See how much time is getting wasted. Understand. Once you plan your audit, then you will say, sir, now I am taking up one particular area of closing stock verification, working progress verification, in which case, obviously I need the support of an expert. Please make arrangements for that. So in such a way, you can communicate to the management in advance, then they will arrange, okay, then the person will come in time. You can also coordinate with him in time and close your audit in timely manner. Okay, so this way, the planning has some benefits. So that's why your audit work has to be properly planned, programmed. So these are the advantages of audit planning. So important question from examination point of view. And last sentence is important. Sometimes institute develops questions from initial basic sentences and below sentences. Generally students will study, so what sir has said, examination you will get a question on benefits of audit planning. They will study all these bullet points only. And remember, institute develops questions from introductory lines like upper sentence is there, adequate planning benefits the audit of financial statements. So I can turn these questions in a different way. Explain the points in favor of audit planning. Explain the points in favor of audit planning. So at least if you see the benefits or advantages, merits, you can understand, oh, I have to write the benefits. Suppose if I say points in favor. Suppose if we don't hear this word anywhere, then you will be in trouble. Now let us see how the question can found out from this end sentence. What is the end sentence? Planning and audit ensures that audit risk is reduced to acceptable low level. It reduces risk of inappropriate opinion by the auditor. 2 sentences. I can develop questions from these 2. How? Do you think that audit planning reduces the risk of an auditor to appropriate level or lower level? Then you have to write the benefits of planning. Careful. This is how you will be questioned in the examinations. See, these type of questions which I am saying, how the language is constructed, are important at final level also. In theoretic question, you will get this type of indirect, tricky language. So be careful in identifying those questions and identifying the appropriate answer. Okay. So for this purpose, what I have to do? Please connect yourself to the material. Okay. That's important. That's why in this class, we are making you to study the material. That means read through the points and underline the important words. And also I am explaining you the introductory lines and the end lines, conclusion lines. These are also important. Okay. Sir, if I don't write the conclusion line, will I get marks? Yes, you will get marks. But if the question itself is coming from conclusion line, if you don't write those points, you lost total marks. So that you please understand. Okay. So this is the discussion on benefits of planning. We will start a discussion. Nature of audit planning, a continuous and iterative process. Iterative means repeating number of times. So planning is a continuous exercise or a one-time exercise. This is also one of the examination questions. Planning is a one-time exercise or continuous exercise. This is a general question. You can also answer. It's a continuous exercise or a one-time exercise. Why? How? Continuous. Why? How? Sorry. Sorry. Execution means? Are you sure after completion of this audit, you are going to be auditor for next year also? How? Sorry? Company says that your appointment is valid for 5 years. In between also I can remove, sir. If I am not satisfied, how can I continue? These type of things are called casual vacancies. I think you might have heard about it. Possible. See, understand this way. Planning is a continuous and iterative process. See, you started this audit believing that organization is a good organization, management is a good management, now center control system is a bit good. But when you deep dive into the transactions, you observed intercontrol system is weak. Then again, you have to change your audit plan. Again, you have to change your audit plan. Initially, you planned for sampling. After seeing particular misstatements, I have converted into 100% verification to particular that subject matter. Initially, you planned sampling for travel expenses. After observing some misstatements from your team, you have converted this planning into 100% verification. So, in such a way, planning is a continuous exercise. That means, initially you planned, the same thing will not continue. In between the audit, based on the audit progresses, based on the latest observations, you may have to change your plan. And you started this audit with 5-member team. In this, 3 people, suddenly they dropped from this audit because of examinations. Your plan will change. Okay? And also, suppose, if you take your example that you are going to be audit for next year also. Yes, of course, it's a continuous process for the next year. And if you are the auditor for previous financial year, that's in another way a continuing exercise. So, audit planning is not a one-time process, it's a continuous iterative process. As the work progresses, you may have to change your audit plan. Okay. So, in such a way, so this discussion says planning is a continuous and iterative process. Next, planning is not a discrete phase of audit, but rather a continual iterative process. Discuss. This is the question you will get. Planning is not a discrete phase of audit, but a continual iterative process. Discuss. Then you have to write this discussion only. Okay. In such a way, you will get the questions. So, begins after the completion of previous audit, continues until the completion of the current audit. So, when it starts, your planning when it starts after the completion of previous audit. Sir, I am not the previous auditor. But even though you are not the previous auditor and there was somebody else, even you have to start that you are planning from his work only. Because he is the person who certified the previous balance sheet. Those previous balance sheet opening balances are going to come to your current financial year. So, in such a case, obviously you have to verify those opening balances are correct or not. So, in your planning, verification of opening balance is also one of the points. So, that's why it's saying it starts at the completion of previous audit and continues until the completion of current audit engagement. Okay, and there are few more points which are supporting this discussion of continuous and iterative points. I think if we start, it will not cover. So, we'll cover in the next class. Okay, thank you very much.